It was a moment that shook Hollywood and left everyone speechless, an explosive confrontation on the talk show. The Spotlight, where Scott Eastwood, son of the legendary Clint Eastwood, clashed with the provocative host Whoopi Goldberg. Scott came to promote his new charitable initiative for veterans, but no one was prepared for how an innocent interview would turn into a true storm. This conflict has already gone down in history, but what happened next? Watch until the end to find out how this drama unfolds, and leave a comment with your thoughts. The studio of The Spotlight buzzed with anticipation as bright spotlights flooded the stage with blinding light. The audience, excited and impatient, awaited the appearance of Scott Eastwood, a Hollywood star known for his sincerity and charisma. His casual style, a denim jacket and a slight smile, sharply contrasted with the cold, almost predatory grin of Whoopi Goldberg, who sat at the host's desk, preparing her trap. The air thrummed with tension, like the calm before a storm. Nervous glances from producers backstage only heightened the sense that something monumental was about to happen. Whoopi started with feigned warmth. "Scott, welcome to the Spotlight," she said, her voice sweet but with a barely noticeable hint of sarcasm. "Tell us about your new initiative. Helping veterans is so noble, isn't it?" Scott, keeping it casual, smiled. "Thanks, Whoopi. This project is close to my heart. We're supporting veterans, from medical care to psychological help. It's not just charity, it's my mission." The audience applauded, but Whoopi leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "Mission? Interesting. Tell me, Scott, is this your idea, or perhaps a way to distract from, let's say, less pleasant things?" Silence fell. Scott tilted his head slightly, his smile fading. "What do you mean?" he asked calmly, though tension was evident in his voice. "Oh, nothing special." Whoopi shrugged, but her tone sharpened. "Just rumors that your father's, Clint Eastwood's, foundations aren't exactly squeaky clean. People say money might be laundered through them. Your charity isn't just a convenient PR move to cover those rumors, is it?" The audience gasped, some whispered. Scott clenched his jaw but responded with restraint. "Those accusations are baseless. My father and I are committed to helping people. Let's talk about the veterans who need support instead." Whoopi didn't back down. Her smile widened, but there was something predatory in it. "Scott, don't be so serious," she laughed, turning to the audience, who chuckled uncertainly in response. "In Hollywood, everyone plays to the crowd, hiding behind good deeds. Right? Or maybe you just want everyone to forget about your family's shady dealings?" Scott took a deep breath, his eyes flashing, but he kept his composure. "Whoopi, I'm here to talk about real work. If you have proof of these shady dealings, show it. Otherwise, these are just words that insult not only me but the people we're helping." The audience buzzed, some clapping at his restraint. But Whoopi leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms. "Proof? I'm just asking the questions everyone's curious about. Like, what's it like being Clint Eastwood's son, always living in his shadow? Maybe this charity is just a way to prove you're not just your father's son." Scott clenched his fists, but his voice remained steady. "You're crossing a line, Whoopi. My work isn't about proving anything to anyone. I do it because I believe in it. And you, it seems, just want a scandal for ratings." "Scandal?" Whoopi raised her eyebrows theatrically. "I'm just doing my job, Scott. People want the truth. And the truth is, your foundations raise questions. You say you're helping veterans, but who checks where that money goes? Maybe it's just another Hollywood scheme." The audience froze. A producer backstage gestured to intervene, but Whoopi waved him off, not breaking eye contact with Scott. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. A text question appeared on the screen. "How would you respond to such an accusation?" Scott stood from his chair, his eyes burning with resolve. "You know, Whoopi, I came here to talk about something important, about veterans who deserve respect. But you've decided to turn this into a circus." Whoopi interrupted. "Circus? This is a show, Scott. If you don't like it, maybe you shouldn't have come?" Scott looked her straight in the eyes, his voice quieter but sharp as steel. "You're accusing my family without evidence. That's not journalism. That's bullying. And I won't be part of it. He removed his microphone but didn't throw it. He placed it on the table, as if emphasizing his dignity. The audience froze, waiting for what would happen next. Whoopi, losing her usual confidence, tried to recover. "Oh, Scott, don't be so dramatic. It's just a conversation." But her words drowned in the audience's whispers. Scott turned to her, his face stern. "This isn't a conversation, Whoopi. It's an attack. And I'm not done yet." He took a step toward the exit but paused, as if recalling something. The studio held its breath. What would he say? Would he leave the show, letting Whoopi triumph? Or did he have something up his sleeve to turn the tables? The studio of The Spotlight was engulfed in tense silence as Scott Eastwood paused halfway to the exit. His hand still lingered on the microphone he had just placed on the table, his eyes burning with resolve. The audience held its breath, sensing that what seemed like the climax was only the beginning of something bigger. Whoopi Goldberg, her confident smile beginning to fade, leaned forward, trying to regain control. "What, Scott, changed your mind?" she said with feigned ease. "Coming back to play by my rules?" Scott slowly turned to her, his face stern but calm. "No, Whoopi," he replied, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. "I don't play by your rules. I'm here to tell the truth." The audience gasped, some shouting words of support. Cameras zoomed in, capturing every move, while producers backstage exchanged panicked glances. A text question appeared on the screen. "Do you support Scott in this moment?" Scott returned to his chair but didn't sit, standing over the desk as if asserting his position. "You want to talk about truth?" he continued, his voice calm but with a growing edge of anger. "Then let's talk about how you, Whoopi, use this platform not to seek truth but to tear people down for ratings. You accuse my family of things you have no evidence for. You throw words like stones, not caring who they hurt." Whoopi tried to interrupt, her voice sharper. "Scott, this show is about honesty. People want to know what's behind your pretty words about veterans. You say it's not PR, but why are your foundations so opaque? Why can't anyone check where that money goes?" Scott clenched his fists but responded measuredly. "Our foundations are open to anyone who wants to check. Every cent we raise goes to medical care, housing, and psychological support for veterans. You can see the reports on our website. But you didn't look, did you? You just took rumors and decided to make a show out of them." The audience erupted in applause, but Scott didn't stop. He raised his hand, asking for silence, and his voice grew stronger. "I came here to talk about veterans who are battling trauma, who've lost their homes, who live with pain every day. But you, Whoopi, decided to turn this into a circus. You don't ask about their stories. You don't ask how we can help. You just want a scandal because it sells. And you know what? I won't be part of it." He removed his microphone again, this time tossing it onto the table with a quiet thud that echoed like a gunshot in the studio. Whoopi, losing her composure, tried to turn the situation in her favor. "Scott, it's just a show!" she exclaimed, her voice breaking on a high note. "You can't just walk away. People want answers." "Answers?" Scott spun back to her, his eyes filled with contempt. "You don't want answers. You want drama. But I won't give you that. I'm leaving, not because I have nothing to say, but because you don't deserve this conversation." He headed for the exit but paused at the edge of the stage, turning to the audience. "If you want the truth," he said, addressing the crowd directly, "go talk to veterans. Listen to their stories. Help them. Don't sit here and watch talk shows turn their pain into entertainment." The studio exploded with applause, some even standing. Whoopi, left alone at the desk, looked rattled. She opened her mouth to speak, but the words caught in her throat. Cameras zoomed in on her face, capturing a rare moment when her confidence cracked. Producers backstage scrambled, one even running onto the set to salvage the situation. But it was too late. Scott had vanished behind the curtains, leaving the studio in chaos. But the story didn't end there. As soon as Scott left the stage, the studio descended into chaos. The audience buzzed, some clapping, others whispering indignantly, accusing Whoopi of unethical behavior. A text question appeared on the screen. Would you walk out with Scott or stay to watch the show? Whoopi, trying to regain control, raised her hands, calling for calm. All right, let's settle down, she said, her voice strained. This show is about discussion, and we're just discussing. But her words were drowned out by the noise. A front row audience member shouted, That wasn't a discussion, it was bullying. Others joined in, and the studio erupted in shouts. Whoopi, visibly shaken, tried to joke. Well, looks like we got a bit heated today. But her humor fell flat. The audience was on Scott's side. Backstage, Scott stood by his dressing room, breathing deeply to calm himself. His manager, a young man named Dan, rushed to him. Scott, that was incredible, he said, his eyes gleaming with excitement. You just tore her apart. But what now? Are you really leaving? Scott looked at him, his face calm but resolute. I said what I needed to say, Dan. But if she thinks this is over, she's wrong. I won't let our work be dragged through the mud. Meanwhile, in the studio, Whoopi tried to move to the next segment, but the tension didn't dissipate. She announced a break, and the cameras cut off, leaving her alone with the producers, who were clearly displeased. One of them, an older woman with a stern expression, approached Whoopi. You went too far, she said quietly. This could cost us ratings. Or worse, our reputation. Whoopi shrugged, but her confidence was no longer unshakable. He brought it on himself, she muttered. If you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. But backstage, rumors began to spread. One crew member whispered to another. I heard Scott's planning something big. He didn't just walk out for nothing. Another added. They say he's already called his lawyer. This isn't over. This confrontation on the spotlight wasn't just a scandal. It was a moment that forced everyone to think, where's the line between journalism and entertainment? Scott Eastwood, despite the provocations, showed that dignity and principles matter more than fleeting fame. But is this story over? Whoopi Goldberg stayed on stage, trying to save the show, but whispers of Scott's next move were already spreading. Will he return to fight back? Or is his exit just the beginning of a bigger battle? Subscribe to not miss the continuation of this story, and share your thoughts in the comments. What would you do in Scott Eastwood's place? Walk off the stage or stay and fight? Do you think Whoopi Goldberg had the right to ask those questions, or was it pure bullying? How do you think this story will unfold next? Write in the comments what you'd say to Whoopi if you were on the show.